All right, let's do it. Well, welcome. This is the Better Books broadcast, the Know Your Numbers podcast. And today we have a special guest out of the Midwest, Michigan area, commercial real estate investor with 15 years experience in the industry, Mr. Dan Lewkowicz, if I pronounce the name correctly. If not,
You did great.
All right, awesome. Well, Dan, thank you for being here. Thank you for your time and any knowledge that you have. If you don't mind just giving a little bit of an introduction of who you are, what you do, and what brought you here.
Sure, yeah. So as you mentioned, I'm Dan Lewkowicz. I'm a commercial real estate investor and broker. I am the director of the Lewkowicz Group at Encore Real Estate Investment Services. So we specialize primarily in net lease investment sales. So what that means is that we will broker deals that typically have national tenants in them, whether they're single tenant or multi-tenant. We actually do a lot of hospitality as well. In fact, we just listed last week a $47 million hospitality offering here in Traverse City, Michigan. We're in Michigan, but the actual offerings in Traverse City, which is an incredible sugar sand, freshwater bay view resort. It's pretty incredible. We do deals all over the country. Really, we do deals internationally as well. And essentially, we're a boutique brokerage that focuses on providing value for our clients. In addition, I have a storied background, formerly an Amazon business development executive. So I've got kind of that unique perspective on e-commerce and industrial products. When I say products, I mean industrial real estate products like warehouses and fulfillment centers. I also have a background as a single family and multifamily real estate investor. So I got my start back in around 2005 by way of a construction company that I helped create with some great friends of mine. The company is called Disability Made Easy. It's still in existence. Just spoke with my best friend yesterday, who still runs it, and that's a barrier-free home modification specializing in creating, kind of value-add modifications and renovations to homes to make them handicap accessible. I also have experience running a sales team at a local title insurance agency about a decade ago, and got a fundraising background both internationally and then nationally. And most of my real estate investing right now is focusing on my own businesses. I have a brokerage business. I'm also the founder and CEO of the CRE Pro course, which is a training program that's designed to train commercial real estate investors and brokers, teaching them everything they need to know to become top experts in those fields. So that's just kind of a little bit of a brief, quick rundown about who I am and what I do.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And yeah, we have most of the audience tends to be a beginning or not even real estate investors. So I think the course is a good place to start in terms of getting some traction. And actually, I saw that you have experience in house hacking. So I guess take us through a little bit of the differences in like the single family, the house hacking, the multifamily, and then the commercial real estate investor. And somebody who's just getting started, is there any benefit to starting with the way you did, or can we jump right into commercial?
So yeah, I'll take it in the reverse order of how you initially mentioned it.
Yeah.
I'm literally standing in the middle of House Hack 3.0. This is the third home that I purchased, renovated, and this one I'll probably never sell just because the location is 100% irreplaceable. But I started my house hacking back in, it was the middle of the last recession, so early 2000 teens, and really great experience. I did it again in 17 till 21, and then now 21 and beyond with this property. So I'll talk a little bit about that. I'm also going to talk about the CRE Pro course, which, by the way, everyone can check it out. CRE, like commercial real estate, CREProcourse.com. It's CREProcourse.com. It's a one-stop shop for everything commercial real estate related as it pertains to becoming an expert commercial real estate investor or broker. We created this course because it was necessary, because people like your viewers were reaching out on a literally several time a week basis, scheduling calls with myself and my partner to learn about brokerage and to learn about how to get into the industry. It's really a life-changing industry. And because people wanted this course and wanted this training program and it didn't exist, we created it, kind of like the reverse, Field of Dreams. People came, we built it. So, we built it because people came, however you want to say it. Right. But we'll talk more about the course. In terms of house hacking, I highly recommend it, especially in today's interest rate environment. You see, as an investor, if I'm going to go purchase a home, assuming that I don't have unlimited liquid capital, which I don't, and frankly, no one but the banks and the governments have unlimited liquid capital. So assuming you're not the government or the bank, then you're going to need at a certain point to leverage your capital. That might be after one home, 100 homes, 1,000 homes. But regardless, when you're looking at real estate investing, a very important aspect is your cost of capital, okay? So let me give you an excellent deal. Let's say there's another property in another city that costs $220,000, and it's not going to be my primary residence. I'm not going to house hack it. Well, I might only have 50,000 liquid, right? And I might need to borrow the other, let's say 170, right? Yeah. Plus, let's say maybe it needs 30 to renovate. So we'll go 250 for round numbers. I might have to raise $200,000, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe I've got a personal line of credit at 10%. Maybe I've got, my good friend or uncle down the road at 12%. Maybe I've got some special, deal at 7%. Well, obviously I want to gather the most amount of capital at the lowest interest rate for the best terms. And then once I fill up that bucket, I go to the next bucket, the next lowest interest rate, the next best terms, fill that up. The goal being that in my capital stack, so to speak, that is the places that I'm getting my capital from and the rates that I'm getting my capital from, that is going to be designed in a manner that's best for me as the investor. So that's assuming we're talking about a regular real estate investment or flip or hold or whatever. What is very important about house hacking is that typically you can use traditional, conventional government or bank financing, right? Yep. For all or most of the purchase. So for example, if you want to rewind, a decade or so to a house hack that I did in Southfield, right? That experience was a quintessential experience for me because it was a time I needed to purchase a home for my family. And I was looking around for something, I knew what I needed. I needed 3 or 4 bedrooms. I wanted a ranch. I laugh with my wife about it because I wanted a ranch back then because I had started a disability made easy company. I never wanted a home with barriers. Yeah. I was in my 20s and here I am buying a home that, one day when I'm 80 years old, I'll still be able to get through it. So anyway, 3 houses later, it doesn't matter. This house is my first colonial. But the point is that home, I purchased that. And when I was looking in the market, I found something, we'll use real numbers, for $181,000. Mm-hmm. Loved it. Move-in ready. Mind you, this is in the middle of the recession. Right. So I didn't proceed with that property because I noticed that the bank owned some assets literally 1 street over. So I approached the bank and I noticed they had almost identical home, terrible. It wasn't terrible condition. It was actually worse than terrible condition. It had been renovated terribly. Okay. Which is worse than terrible condition. Yeah. So I bought that property for cash. I got some capital from a close friend and family member, put up a little bit of my capital. And at the time, my job actually gave me an interest-free loan for some of the capital. So talk about capital stack, right? Cash, that's 0%, but there's opportunity costs. I borrowed money at a higher interest rate from a family member, friend family member. And then my employer actually gave me about $10,000 or $9,000 free of interest. So now what I did was I purchased that home. I did a complete renovation, about $60,000. And every aspect of that renovation, I hired out myself. I told the contractors, I said, listen, I'm going to stick around the property. I'm going to be a little annoying. I'm going to ask you questions. I'll pay you a little more money, but I want to learn. So I did that. And I ended up, being all in. I purchased that for 81, put about 60 in. So in for 140, sold it a few years later. That's a different story because I did get divorced in the meantime. So actually was bought out of the property. Property was worth at the time that I left about 200,000. Today it's worth probably about 275, 280. Anyway, the point is that I learned so much and I learned how to manage a project. I had already had that experience running, from a periphery, watching managers run projects. I was doing more of the sales with the Disability Made Easy, but now I was in the trenches. Yeah. And people would ask me, they say, Dan, what are you going to do when you finish renovating your house? And I would say, I'll just buy another one. And that's what I did. I bought another one and another one and another one and another one. I really never stopped. In fact, I consider myself to be a recovering house flipper, which explains why I'm here, on boxes in my own, whatever room this is going to be, because here I am, years later, getting back in the game, even though this is not my bread and butter. It's something that I have a passion for and I love. Mm-hmm. And I highly recommend people house hack, live there for at least 2 years under the current legislation. If you're there for 2 years or more out of 5, you pay 0 taxes, 0 capital gains when you sell it. I did it on my last house. That was a $75,101 purchase in 2017, similar size house, all brick, great neighborhood, put in probably about 50, maybe 60, just listed it, I don't know, a month ago, sold it for 265. So not bad.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. And yeah, so for somebody who might be in a position of like a entrepreneur, solopreneur, where they don't have a W-2 income, what is the best way to go about house hacking or just getting financing in general?
It's a good question. And that's a struggle that almost all entrepreneurs have. I've learned to be very strategic in my debt placement. For example, this is just my opinion, but I would highly recommend avoiding leases on your cars. I would recommend owning them. And if you're going to finance them, that's fine, but finance them over a long period of time so your payment is low. What people don't realize is when you have a lease over 2 or 3 years, your payment is huge and it really affects your debt to income ratio. That's number one. Number two, OPM, other people's money. I mean, if I'm going to do a deal and have $0 out of pocket and make 50 or 60 or 70% of the profit, now what's my return? My return is infinite. I have $0 out.
Right.
So never discount OPM. And also, look into other options, right? Borrowing money at 6 or 7% is not a bad thing, especially if there's no points. And especially if you're making 20, 30, 40%. In fact, the way that the large corporations, banks, and governments make money is in many cases simply interest rate arbitrage, which means you're borrowing at X and you're getting a return at X plus something. So, I challenge everyone to have an open mind. We talk a lot about this in our course. We teach a lot about it. I mentor a lot of students about this, but having an open mind on where to get your capital and not necessarily being afraid of interest is a great way to be successful and make money. And keep in mind, in many cases, or most cases, when you have interest payments, whether it's on your own primary residence mortgage, even commercial real estate, and by the way, no longer on HELOCs, home equity line of credits, that was changed in the last administration, but on regular mortgages, also on interest for business loans, on interest for investments, that is actually tax deductible. So it's not necessarily a bad thing to have interest payments going out. And it's definitely not a bad thing, especially today. I'm locking in at 2.7, 2.75%, 30-year fixed. And in many cases, you may not even have to have full recourse. So definitely do your homework, link up with guys like us, let us teach you and make money, have fun.
Right.
Now's the time.
Yeah. That's awesome, Dan. And so when you say link up with guys like you, so does your course teach more than just commercial? Because it sounds like it's just the commercial base, but
no. So we actually have courses that teach most of the aspects of real estate investing. And keep in mind, commercial and residential are not that different. The training may be different, but the concepts are many times exactly the same. And I challenge people to learn about commercial, whether it's construction, whether it's lending, whether it's brokerage or investing, because a lot of the strategies that are employed when you're dealing with hundreds of millions of dollars, right, are the same or better when you're dealing with hundreds of thousands of dollars. Right. So definitely check out, you can go to my website, danontop.com, danontop.com, tons of resources, tons of information. You can go to creprocourse.com. You can reach out. We have programs that are tailor-made to specific investors, whether they're doing residential or commercial, whether they're house hacking or they're using other people's money or they're doing huge apartment deals. We're a training organization, and that's something that we specialize in.
That's great. And I think I'm going to be checking that out, man. That's awesome.
You better become not only a host, but a student in the course.
Yeah, please. I'd love to.
Send you that right now.
Let's shift gears a little bit. You've talked about taxes, a couple of the tax benefits of real estate. And it seems like you have a wealth of knowledge in that region too. What are some of the greatest tax benefits that you've learned from the commercial aspect or the house hacking or just the investment world in general?
The whole IRS code. The IRS tax code is designed to make large people, not large, that's the wrong word, to make wealthy people and large corporations wealthier and larger. That's just what it's there for. And the IRS code is designed to maneuver and utilize. I don't want to use the word manipulate because I think that has bad connotations. IRS section 1031 is an incredible section about 1031 exchanges. Also, section 1042 is an incredible one that people should look into. Section 1031 we know a lot about, and thankfully the government has decided to keep it around at least for now. 1042 is a lesser known section, 11 sections later, and it discusses the sale of employee owned companies or businesses or properties. and the reinvestment of that capital into US based corporations, properties, businesses, et cetera. What people, I think, fail to recognize, Chris, is that the IRS tax code is actually designed to incentivize people to make money, to build businesses, to create jobs, to educate, to procreate, all those things. The government has responsibilities to the citizens to do those things, and the government is smart. The government outsources that to guys like you and I. And when we do that, the government rewards us because we do it more efficiently than they do. It's actually quite incredible. When someone looks at the tax code from that lens, right, as a tool to be utilized to incentivize us to do the government's job more efficiently and to reward us, it opens up the mind and opens up the possibilities.
So do you partner with an accountant, or do you kind of serve as your own? Because it sounds like you.
No, I do not serve as my own accountant.
Yeah.
In fact, I believed from a very young age that one of the most highly paid individuals that you should have on your staff is your accountant and your attorney. An accountant is going to save you money and is going to teach you how to be more effective. An attorney, that's another conversation, but an attorney is going to keep you out of trouble, is going to help protect you and guide you and train you. And I firmly believe I actually have multiple accountants that I consult with and that I employ because some of them are better at certain things than others. But at the end of the day, every accountant I work with is way better than me. And the truth is, I've learned what I've learned, truthfully, from my students. I have a great student in the course who's an incredible CPA. I've also learned it from my clients. My clients, through me asking questions to them and me doing deals with them, I've learned a lot about tax law over the years.
Yeah, it's great. And that's something I've studied it and I'm learning more about it, and it seems like that's the direction I'm going. So it's good to hear.
Yeah,
And
it's
now,
very important.
Yeah. And
in fact, I would actually argue that one of the most important things that I'm training my children in, besides how to be good people, obviously, is marketing, branding, LinkedIn, and honestly, I tax law, just teaching them about things about 1031, teaching them about things about 1030, 1042, teaching them about appreciation, depreciation, financial modeling. These kids are brilliant. I mean, they're sponges, and I wish I would have been taught these things at a young age, and I wasn't, and that's okay. My parents taught me a lot of other amazing things, and I've got a lot of gratitude to them. I really do. Now, my children, I deliberately involve them in everything from picking the paint colors on properties since they were a little kid to talking about, say my daughter last week, I was with her in New Jersey, and she bought a watch that she saved up for the entire summer, working as a camp counselor. And instead of buying the watch straight, I told her if she saved up for the summer and put it into a brokerage account, I'd buy the watch for her. So every time my daughter calls me, by the way, my daughter's 12 years old. Every time she calls me, she wants to know how Apple is doing, how her, the different, indices that she purchased, how's the market doing, what's going on. And she even tells me, she calls me Tati, it's Yiddish for daddy. She says, Tati, the reason I'm buying a watch, or the reason I'm investing my money, one of the reasons is that the dollar is depreciating. I was like, she goes, but I appreciate you.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Wow. What a wise child.
Very wise.
Yeah.
Wise.
How has she gained all that knowledge? Is it from you, or does she read up on it? Like, that's pretty impressive.
She probably gains it from reading, and quite frankly, like I said, I mean, from the time my kids were like that daughter in particular, she was born in Israel when we were living in Israel. And everywhere we went, I would carry her and talk to her. Oh, look at this car, look at this river, look at this, always communicating with her. It was just kind of, I don't know, maybe I was lonely or something. I wanted to talk to somebody other than myself. But basically, in all seriousness, it's the fact that I include her. I talk to her about, she asks questions, I give her honest answers. I think that's really what it's about, is just honesty. She asks me questions, I give her honest answers. She wants to come to work, she comes to work, obviously in a healthy, safe way. I don't do machinery stuff, but when I go visit, she wants to put together marketing flyers. Of course, I don't get to see them as much as I would like. So we do a lot remotely, and, she has accounts on Canva. She has, accounts on, Publisher, things like that, so that she can hone her mind. And keep in mind, when I'm not sure, you're a little bit younger than me, I believe, but I was born in the early 80s. And when I was in college, an engineer was somebody that did physical things, right?
Yeah.
Today, if you type engineer in your iPhone, the emoji that comes up is a person behind a computer, obviously a MacBook, but
Right.
a person behind a computer. And it's so true today. I mean, look at, I'm in my home. My assistant is sitting over there. I don't have to ever go anywhere. You know what I mean? And the fact that today technology, Zoom and Canva and LinkedIn and, you know, Crexy and CoStar, all these things, drone photos, drone videos, that can all be done remotely. So why doesn't my 12-year-old and my 9-year-old and my 7-year-old, my 5-year-old, why don't they know how to do that? If they can be, if they can have everything they need to know to become a successful business owner, broker, whatever they want to do, by the time they're 15, 17, 18, 20, I've done my job.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Well, honor to you, man. That's impressive. And yeah, it sounds like they all have bright futures ahead of them. So that's exciting.
Yeah, they do.
Now, Dan, couple last minute questions, and I do appreciate your time and
Yeah.
want you to use it wisely. But one is business structure. That's important as far as the tax code goes. I don't know if you have any insight into how you structure your business or how some of your clients, real estate in particular, but also just in general, or whether that's just a shot out of left field.
Meaning business structure, ask me something very specific. What about business structure?
Like
I do
the
have a lot of
real
thoughts on
estate
it.
in particular, there's some benefits to like having your LLC incorporated in like Wyoming in terms of
Very
anonymity.
interesting question.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. So it's hard to answer that generally because everyone's situation is different and every opportunity is different to a certain extent. What I will say is that I highly recommend having an LLC, period. I highly recommend doing everything 100% by the book because the book was written to help you make money. Okay.
Yep.
And, you know, in terms of structuring, incorporating locally versus incorporating in a tax-free state or in Wyoming or Delaware, those are all going to have their pros and their cons. What I will tell you is that if one has an LLC in a tax-free state, in the first year of operation, and I'm not a CPA, so I'm giving you my opinion, not binding advice or anything like that. But if one has an LLC in a tax-free state, that capital, I believe in year one, that's kept in the business can be kept in the business. In year two, I believe you're going to have to start doing some type of disbursements, right?
Okay.
Now, if let's say I have an LLC in a Texas or a Tennessee, for example, and that LLC has excess capital that I want to deploy. Well, if I deploy it in, let's say, I don't know, a Dodge Viper or an investment property in the state of Texas, and I utilize it for business purposes, I now very likely don't have to pay any income tax on that money that was deployed. I'm a firm believer in investing in the things that give you the highest ROI. And thank God my businesses give me a higher ROI than any investment I've ever found. Yeah. So I have very specific formulas that I've come up with, myself and my wife, who is an incredible financial advisor. We've come up with specific formulas where X dollars come in, X go to this, X go to that, X I have fun with. And the truth is, as I've gotten older, I have more fun now investing in companies, in businesses, in myself, in my contractors and employees than I do in toys, which is insane. I love it. And then when those investments yield dividends that can now pay for toys, or those toys are business owned, come on, like why wouldn't you be a business owner?
Wow. Yes, dude, come on. That's awesome, man. So when was your first business? You mentioned that the construction business, was that it? And
I mean, you want to go way, way back. So I started that business with a good friend of mine. It's actually my best friend's older brother. My best friend moved back a year or two later, and now he helps run the business. But this gentleman, Dane Rothenberg, God bless him. What a great guy. That whole family, I love them. Yeah. That business was started for their father, Joe, who passed away a few years ago. He had ALS, which is Lou Gehrig's disease. And we started that business because we saw like the pains of not only dealing with the illness, but also not being able to, deal with one contractor and having all those headaches. So that was 2005, probably in the late 80s, early 90s. Wow. Dane and I swear on my life, all right, if he's watching this, he will agree 100%. I believe that we created wet naps, okay? Because we had this, what we did, I can't believe I'm sharing this. We had Hardee's and Softies, okay?
Yeah, right.
And Hardee's were napkins that had been soaked with different soaps and then dried out. And now you could add water and wash your hands with them. Softies were the same thing, but they weren't dried and they were kept in Ziploc bags. Okay. So unfortunately, ourselves nor our parents had the foresight to patent these ideas,
Yeah.
but we did create these and give them out and sell them and all that stuff. Now, in addition, that's not really a business, but it's a funny story.
Yeah.
Funny story. I guess my point is that this is what I'll drive home. Dane's dad, I should, Joe Rothenberg of blessed memory.
Mm-hmm.
He was a business owner, right? He owned wine shops. He had his own business. My father, Harry Lewkowicz, he should live and be well, was a pharmacist. He had his own pharmacies in Detroit. They were entrepreneurial. My family came from Europe. I'm first generation American. My parents were both born in refugee camps immediately after World War II. My grandparents were in slave labor and coal mines in Auschwitz and all these places that, thank God, I've never been to, and I hope to never go.
Wow.
Now, my grandfather, when he had a business before the war, and then he was a slave in the camps for almost a decade, and then after the war, he started a new business in war-torn Germany, in West Germany, right? And then Hitler devalued the currency and he started a different business. And then he found a way to come to America and he started a different business here. So I would argue that I am an entrepreneur by genetics, by bloodline. So the answer to your question from 20 minutes ago, where did I get my start? I got my start, bro, in the concentration camps. Okay.
Wow.
My ancestors got their start there. And guess what? They are not survivors, they're thrivers. And I'm not a survivor either. I'm a thriver. And my kids, same thing. Whatever adversity they go through, they're thrivers. And that's because we had a necessity to thrive. And that's why I'm so adamant about creating businesses, creating jobs, working with people together for strategic partnerships, because together we can literally change the freaking world.
Amen. Amen. Oh my gosh, Dan. Wow. I think that I can dream up a better way to close that out, Dan. That was that's powerful, inspiring, and all of the above, dude. I appreciate you and your time. And I want to link up and come out to Michigan one of these days. And
whenever you want. You want to go to Traverse
you.
City? I just listed some resorts up there last week. We're going on Thursday and Friday. It's a pretty incredible opportunity.
Wow.
Come on out.
Yeah. Let's I will stay in touch and get in contact with you, because I also want to take this course. But
I'll send you a link within 5 minutes of us ending this.
I know you will. I know you will. So I appreciate that. Then how can people contact you? How can people support you, help you out? We can market this course.
Those are two different questions.
Yeah.
They can contact me by going to my website, danontop.com.
Okay.
Send me an email, dan@danontop.com. You can give me a ring, 248-943-2838. Again, 248-943-2838. How can people support me? That's a great question. Yeah. So they can support me by giving us money. Okay. Now, what I mean is that we add value. Everything else follows from adding value. So if people have assets or capital or businesses that they want help growing, structuring, increasing, okay, that's what we do. So I'm joking when I say give me money, but what I really mean is give me the opportunity to add value to you, and that will add tremendous value and support to me, and together we can grow. Same way to reach me, dan@danontop.com. You can check out, just Google my name. I mean, we were on the front page of CoStar yesterday. Wow. Whatever we can do to add value, that's why we're here, and we'd love to work together with your audience.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome, Dan. Well, thank you again. I appreciate you, and I can't wait to see what's in store. And yeah, let's stay in touch, man. Thank you for doing this.
Appreciate you. Absolutely. Keep up the good work.
Talk soon. Thanks, man.